Hello, my name is Alan. I'm a software engineer from Kenya, and this is my presentation for Tipa Finance. So, Tipa Finance is a liability tokenization platform which allows organizations who have products which are illiquid to be able to extract value from them before they're able to sell them or trade them on the open market. So, an example is a flower farm which has maybe 2-3 acres of buds which are set to mature in 3 months. So seed flower farm would want to access capital to do a bit of operations or maybe expand their flower count. And in the current situation, they'll have to wait until those 3 months when they sell those birds which are in the farm to be able to access that kind of capital. So Tipa Finance comes in and tries to solve that problem by opening up market for liability tokenization, which in this sense is the flower farm is able to tokenize their birds and access capital from users who will provide capital and liquidity based on the credit rating of the flower farm, which is rated by validators on the platform. So the platform has three main members, which are organizations accessing liquidity, validators, and the general users. So organizations are, in a sense, just organizations. There's nothing really different about them. They're just companies or factories or farms, basically any producer of commodities that wants to access capital. And commodities in this case are metals, some agricultural products, some minerals, anything that can be predicted the amount of revenue is projected to return, but cannot be sold until a certain amount of until a maturity date is reached or a um, certain timeline is met. So the other users are validators, and validators are the core users in this protocol, and these are basically people who are able to evaluate the health and credibility and viability of the organization's liabilities. So validators, so in the example of the platform that I stated before, a validator will come to the platform and they will gauge the flower farm's basically financial health and what they claim to say is what they provide, the documents they provide for to kind of verify that they do indeed have what they want to sell, and they just want to access liquidity so that once they sell it, they pay back the capital they were able to raise. And validators do this by basically doing just basic research. They can go online and do a bit of research on the organization's history, the company, basically anything that will allow them to kind of give them a credit rating, which will now provide them with authenticity, which users can be able to use to kind of gauge which pools to provide funds to and how secure are they, and the general rating that will kind of gauge how safe the funds are. So, the users this is a platform. So the first interaction for the user is submitting a request. So in this case, it's an organization who wants to request funds. So they're required to submit three supporting documents, which can be able to allow the validators to do check on their basically their financial health or any data that may allow them to provide them with a viable credit score that will give them validity in the platform and allow them to be able to access more credit. So these documents will allow the validator to do extensive research. So they're encouraged to submit really concise documents that will enable that to happen faster and smoother. So once a request has been submitted by an organization, uh, a validator can come to audit a request. So when they come to audit a request, they kind of basically just see the name of the organization that wants to request a financing like opportunity. and the amount they want and the documents that they attached. These documents are, once an organization submits the documents, they upload it to Web3.storage, which is API which is hosted, which since is hosted on IPFS, and basically this is to make sure the data is transparent and everybody has access to it, and it is persistent. So nothing can be changed in case of any fishy activities. The data record is still there. Anybody can just be able to come and reference, and everyone who participates in the protocol is in the know of what exactly is going on. So I use Web3.storage to store these files, and from this point they can be able to like download them and now do the verification process and the validity and providing the credit score for a user based on the documents that they provided. So once an organization has been verified by a validator, the validator can now submit a review based on the organization. So they'll select the name of said organization. They can provide a credibility score, which ranges from A to Z, and a liquidity score, which ranges from 1 to 10. These two are measurements of how creditworthy the organization is, and uh, how likely are they to pay back their loan. And basically, it's basically just like a triple A rating for organizations, but it's broken down into two, so that you can be able to access the liquidity in the scenarios where some organizations are less liquid than others. So it can take a bit more time for them to access the amount of money to be able to repay back. And credibility is in the sense of some organizations have a lot more credibility, but they have low liquidity score, and others are a high liquidity score but low credibility. And these are basically measures that will allow the user to be able to gauge the organization and choose to either deposit funds or not. So other parameters that and where the validators are required to provide for the organization, so the research is done, is amount, which is the amount they believe the organization should have access to, which they'll be able to pay, and also the commodity which the organization is using which is their product. So, for example, is it tea leaves? Is it flower? Sorry, flower buds? Is it platinum? Basically, just the commodity that they trade in, which and also the quantity in which they want to access liquidity for. So, for example, if it's tea leaves, maybe they want to access liquidity for 200,000 bags of tea leaves. And this data is useful for the platform to kind of generally have a liquidity health score for which is calculated using Chainlink's external APIs. So the platform currently uses an external API to kind of check the prices of different commodities in the open market, and this is useful for gauging the general health of a pool in the cases of maybe there's a fluctuation in the market, the product's marketing, the product's pricing, and it's dipping below a certain threshold. Thanks to Chainlink's external APIs, the protocol can be able to do notifications and basically just alert the relevant parties that the pool is below a certain level and some action needs to be taken so that it cannot default. So once a review is submitted, the users can be able now to access the submitted companies through this pool, so they can be able to just see the pool name, the pool value in terms of the amount of money they want to access. In this case, it's in terms of dollars, and their T score, which is now the credibility score. And as you can see, the first character is a letter, which signifies the credibility score. The second character is a number, which signifies the liquidity score. So these are gauges that will allow the user to be able to gauge the most promising pools to deposit their money into, and which are more likely to pay them back. And here they can be able now to deposit funds into it. And now from here they can be able to deposit funds into that pool. And these tokens are sent to the organization which created the pool, and as of right now, the token is Matic, which is the native token of Polygon, which I built this project on. So when they deposit to the pool, the funds are sent directly from the user's wallet to the pool, and it can now allow the platform records every user deposit, and this is used when the organization pays back their loan. It is distributed equally to every user based on how much they deposited plus their interest, and also given like amount of money is deducted off of the principal amount that the organization will pay to kind of reward the validator for all the work they put in to do the research and basically verify the organization and the protocol so that they can be able to access liquidity. So when the organization has already paid back the capital that they were able to be forwarded, the user can now come here and withdraw the funds, and this now will prompt an Polygon transaction to send money from the protocol to the user's funds, and they can be able to choose either to withdraw all of it or to withdraw partially. And this is just a basic withdraw tab, which allows them now to withdraw the funds they provided to the protocol back to their wallets now with interest, and they can be able to now reap the gains of the the performance of the organizations that they deposited funds to. So that's Tipa protocol, and thank you for your time.